Hello, I'm Hannah Bushbaum, co-founder of the W Source. You're listening to the W Wisdom Series. The W Source is an exclusive network of female professionals and service providers who are interested in growing their referral network and their businesses. The Wisdom Series is a forum to hear from the experts within our membership. To learn more about how you can benefit from connecting with professional women across the nation, visit thewsource.com. Welcome, everyone. For those of you listening in, would everyone on the panel introduce themselves?
Hi, I'm Lily Tran, enrolled agent and the founder of TaxiSign. We are a virtual tax firm serving clients across the United States. We provide one-on-one coaching to help you get on the right track and provide tax planning strategies to minimize your taxes and tax representation to solve your tax problems.
Hey everybody, I'm Steph Roisner with State Street Insurance. We are an agency in Santa Barbara made up of 4 wonderful, powerful women in my agency, and we focus on small business employee benefits, so health, dental, life. Also, we do individual such as Medicare, covered California, and private plans as well. And I'm a licensed enroll agent, and we have combined over 60 years of agent experience.
Hi, everyone. My name is Hannah Peasley, and I am the founder of HP & Co., a boutique business management firm based out of Long Beach, but really serving all of Southern California. We have a wide variety of clientele. Our book of business is very, very different looking, but we really value our relationships with our clients. We put the humanity back in your finances and make you feel like you have a partner in this life that, we want to help you grow. We want to move forward with you, and we're strategic about how to make that happen.
Hi, I'm Jenny Ripper Rodriguez. I'm a payroll and HR advisor at Heartland Payroll Services and HR Services. We do employment management all the way from advertising for a job, taking them onboarding employees, work opening tax credits, all the way to payroll and HR and timekeeping. So we can truly help employers take their employees all the way from looking at advertising of a position to their payroll. I've been in payroll and HR for 16 years. I've set up over 1,200 clients, and I'm here to help one employee up employers. So one employee up to about 750 employee headcount.
Thanks for joining us all. We're glad to have you. What types of questions are clients asking you right now?
What type of business should I start? How much taxes do I owe? Do I owe any estimated tax payments? How do I calculate that? What business expenses can I deduct? So during the one-on-one coaching sessions, I do allow my clients to ask me any bookkeeping and tax questions they have. So, the question about like what type of business entity should I start? It's a challenge to really know unless I actually ask you questions and try to determine like, are you starting out? How long have you been in business? So there's a lot of information I need to gather to help you decide on your business entity. And then about minimizing your taxes or, finding out what type of business expenses you can deduct. So in the coaching session, for what type of business expenses you can deduct, I actually do have a handout that I can share. It has a list of business expenses on the handout. Like the most common ones are advertising, meals, office expenses. You can deduct your home office, wages, supplies. The list goes on, but, depending on your business entity, there are, the common expenses you can deduct. And then when it comes to home office or your car, I always recommend to work with a qualified tax professional to see, do we need a countable plan to reimburse you as employee, or can we just deduct that on your tax return?
So my clients are saying, hey, my insurance is really expensive. It's like a mortgage payment. Like why is my health insurance so expensive? And then once I explain all the moving parts, why health insurance is so expensive and all the mandated benefits, we're like, okay, great. How can I get the most out of my super expensive health insurance? And so not only by having a clear plan design and making sure you're not over insuring yourself and you're on the smart plans, we recommend a lot of HSA type plans here in our office. But embrace, I have two things that I wanted to point out there is one is embrace the freebies that are on everyone's insurance plan per the Affordable Care Act. So one of them is like the preventative annual checkups and the annual visits. Hopefully most of you know about this. It's been going on since 2014. But your annual OBGYN, the free mammogram, the free blood panels, once you're over age 55, a colonoscopy, et cetera, those types of things. And if I could share my screen for a second, I wanted to just show you really just a quick glance at what's free. I just have one carrier's sample of women ages 20 to 49 of all the free things and screenings and tests that are covered on pretty much every single insurance plan out there these days. So I would say embrace that. Birth control is most birth controls are free on plans, the flu shots, immunizations, and then most of the plans they all kind of tend to copy each other, but most plans nowadays also have free EAPs, which are employee assistance programs, which are generally at least 3 visits that include legal counseling, financial counseling, or therapy visits at no cost too. So, and then discount programs. All insurance plans have discounts for weight management, smoking cessations, Fitbits, fit counters, even to buying tennis shoes and different things. So if you haven't already, I'd really encourage you to go and register at your carrier site and check out all the free things you can get or all the discounts there. And then lastly, televisits. Everyone, I think we've embraced being on screen. Why not be on screen with your doctor visits now? So if you haven't done Teladoc or Live Health Online are the 2 main ones that most insurance companies offer at no cost. It's like a Skype visit with a doctor and it's amazing. I will never go sit in an urgent care ever again, as long as I know what it is. And they can prescribe prescriptions and diagnose you and send it to your pharmacy. It can be at 2 a.m. on Christmas Eve and the Teladoc will be there for you. So it's 24/7. And then lastly, the last thing I wanted to point out is embracing the tech. Insurance companies have invested a lot of money in making your plan tech savvy, which is either via online or your mobile app. You can estimate your costs if you're getting a procedure done. Again, the televisits that also offer psychology and even teledentistry, which is kind of interesting. And then, just utilizing the digital tools, your ID card, your claims information, benefits, providers, and then it also connects you with those wellness apps that I was referring to reduce stress and anxiety, send you motivational quotes, gets you stepping, all that good stuff. So that's what I would say to make the most of your plan. Make sure you're tapping into those things. They're really underutilized. And, I talk with all my groups about utilizing those to make the most out of your insurance plan.
So for my clients, we have an overarching theme of needing to feel like you're in control of your finances, especially in a day and age that feels so out of control for so many reasons. But once we address, okay, we want people to feel in control of their financial lives, I find that clients fall into one of 2 buckets. The first bucket being they have already found success in their life. Maybe they're a little bit further advanced down their wealth journey, and they really just don't have the time. So they feel like their finances are getting out of control because they don't have the time to deal with it themselves. And so they start getting anxious because things are being overlooked or they just don't know where things are at. And then the second bucket is people who are newer to wealth. They're just starting out on their journey. Maybe they're a recent, entrepreneur that just found success in their business, or a divorcee who really hasn't been in charge of their own finances for decades and decades, and now they need to figure it out. So those 2 buckets really do dictate the types of questions that I get on my day-to-day. But really, we teach people how to organize and strategize. I think those are 2 key words that help people feel in control. Obviously we get them onto an accounting software. We really figure out where they're standing in their financial picture, make sure we get a team around them. I think this is one of the most important things that I help my clients do. You need a team. You cannot do things on your own and be able to have, 8 arms octopus deal with everything that life throws at you. You need people such as a financial advisor, a CPA, a real estate agent, if you're interested in buying, things like that, an insurance agent for sure, and somebody that you can really trust and reach out to whenever you need coverage. And on top of that, I think that people don't really realize when you are getting that team around you, you need to interview them. You need to make sure that these specialists are correct for you and that there's synergy between who you are as a human being and who that specialist or service provider is as a human being. We want to make sure that our teams work on all levels, that the communication is there, people feel comfortable. I want my client to be able to reach out to anybody at any time and feel comfortable asking any question. So we really do a lot of research in helping put that team in place for each client individually. No team is the same. Mm-hmm. And then also we talk about for strategy, leveraging their assets. How do we grow your wealth picture? What do you need to do next? What are the next steps in 5-10 years that will get you to these mega goals? We kind of like back engineer these steps to get you where you want to go. And then I figure out how to walk that path with you. How do we get to step 1, 2, and 3, etc. And then, introducing them to different wealth vehicles like trusts, things like that, where we can really help kind of strategize along taxes. We can make sure that we're planning for generational wealth or at least continued growth throughout your life. So those are the 2 things that go into the organization and the strategy. And then additionally, what's really important and that clients really do reach out for is understanding. That helps you get in control of any situation if you can understand what's going on. So education and transparency are another 2 topics that we find very, very important for all of our clients. Not just financial education, but education on anything that comes through. What is this trust? What does this mean? What is this new tax law? What's actually happening? What does a political administration change mean for me? We get in front of all of these questions and we work through it and in an easily understandable way. Nobody should be left after a conversation with question marks, or that they can't then go to their mother, husband, friend, and then re-explain it to them. We want it to be easily digestible information so people feel calm and in control. And then the transparency. Yes, I'm handling your finances, but I want you to know what's happening. I want you to, if you have a question about that $5 monthly charge that's coming through, ask me, talk to me. If you want to understand all of your different bank accounts, why we're doing different accounts in your investment portfolio, let's talk about this. I want you to be educated and understand what I'm doing on the day-to-day. I really had a problem when I was in the financial industry working for larger corporations, where I felt a lot of the time the specialists would do this shiny object, look over here while I do my work. I really don't want you to bother me. I'm busy. I need to do this. And I felt that clients were left out of their own transactions. So I built a brand based off of, let me show you what I'm doing. If you ever have a question, let's talk about it. But I'm also going to send you reports on a consistent basis that show you exactly what's going on, so you never question anything. I want people to feel calm, confident, and in control, and not alone. We work as a partnership, and truly, my goal is to build friendships with my clients, so they are happy, they feel like they have a team member, and then to grow that into the team that's around them, all the specialists, so they really feel like they have a force driving them forward.
You cover a lot of bases, though. You know what I mean? You bring a lot to a team. You bring a whole team in, so there you go.
We wear a lot of hats. When you're talking about money, there's nothing in your life that doesn't have to do with money. Everything somehow is connected to money. So truly, as a business manager, you're dealing with anything and everything. And I like that about my position, because it's always different. Every day is different, and every client brings different problems or opportunities to the table. But you never say no. You're like, oh, okay, let's deal with that together. We're the team member. I am the person that you can consistently call on and come to. let's do this together. Let's figure it out. It's fun.
All right, let's talk about payroll related fun facts here. What people ask me, number one thing that I believe you all probably heard about, employee retention credits. Employee retention credits, ERC. This is something that you can get money back from the government because of COVID. So last year they passed a law that you can, on your 941 forms, which is a quarterly federal tax form, you can actually get some of those wages you paid for your employees back. So last year, last year, 2020, you were able to get about $5,000 per quarter per employee. This year, they upped it up to $7,000 per employee per quarter back from the government in governmental money. How you qualify is number one, if you can show a significant reduction of your gross receipts. Number two, if you were under governmental mandate to shut down, partial or fully. So we have been helping many, if not thousands of clients here at Heartland, amending those past tax returns and putting the ERTC credits in. I also have partnered, as Hannah said, I bring also a team of people around me always when I help my clients, as I'm not an expert in everything and nobody can be. So I have a couple ERTC experts that are willing to obviously calculate all those calculations because they can be very difficult sometimes. And then we will help them to amend those 941s, which is the quarterly tax forms for the government. So this has been a big overtaking for every payroll service company, and we are right in the middle of it. But this is so much money for our clients. The average, we did a study here at Heartland, average quarterly for a client would be $85,000 of ERTC credit, quarterly per client. So it's a lot of money that we are working with clients right now. So I get one phone call, two phone calls, three calls every day about, do you know anything about this ERC? And it's still going on. The government has not decided to take it away for the fourth quarter yet. We're waiting for some legislation to come through, but we still have it going on. So we are just right now putting all these credits into the third quarter. So that's one question I get all the time. If you have any questions, give me a call. I will get you some resources for that. Other thing, hey, I'm starting a dental office. I'm hiring 5 people. What do I do? What is this employment all about? What other forms? Do I have to offer health insurance? What do I have to offer? Do I pay double for overtime? What is this whole thing? That's when I come in. That's literally what I do with my calls with new employers. It's called, what does it mean to be an employer in California? Especially I'm based in California, in Orange County. So I sit them down for an hour consultation. We go all the way from payroll taxes. I actually go over payroll taxes. I know my competitors don't even go over them, which is very strange to me. Payroll taxes to workers' comp, to benefits, what they do and don't have to offer, which I always recommend, of course. Sick leave, mandatory sick leave in California have to be on a pay stub to balance what people have. Do you have to do vacation? We talk about overtime, salary, exempt, non-exempt. By that hour is over, the employer hopefully, and most of the time feels, whew, I have a better understanding what I'm going to do and what do I need to do with my employees. I'm here to tell you the rules. I'm here not to enforce them. That's also a big difference. Like if you just do not to do something that is legally and labor law bounded, it's up to an employer, but at least they know what they're up against and the penalties included if they do not go by the labor law rules. One big question on those always comes, what's employee handbook? Why do I need one? And the analogy I always tell clients is when you get a driver's license and you start driving on the road, do you know right away, like, oh, if there wouldn't be lights, if there wouldn't be signs, if there wouldn't be rules, how would you know how to drive a car in the city? That's what employee handbook is. It's really the rule book for your company and for your employees. What is your company all about? What are the rules and regulations of your company? How would you like to have? Would you like to have a policy for drinking on the job? Would you like to have a policy, I want to sell Mary Kay on the job? All these different kind of policies that you don't even think about, we will customize here with our HR services, a customizable professional employee handbook for all our clients. With payroll services, the HR service is very inexpensive compared to hiring an HR consulting firm. but I still always recommend that also because you can want to do some trainings or on-site. But getting those basic documents together and getting those basic employee handbooks and onboarding documents together, we here at Heartland can help you with that. And that's really one of the biggest questions I have on this side at this time.
Great. Any recent legislative or government mandates or even changes in your industry that you're tackling right now?
If you remember this past tax season, there was a lot of tax law changes happening in the middle of tax season. Like Jenny was talking about, there's the ERC, the unemployment, the stimulus payments, and all those changes where Congress was, so Congress tells the IRS what the IRS has to tell us what to do. So like we as tax preparers need to wait from the IRS to give us guidance on how to prepare your tax return. And so the last tax law change happened in March of 2021. And so we're all rushing here trying to meet this April 15th deadline. And we had to wait for our tax software to update. And so weeks go by and we have clients asking us like, where's our tax return? Well, we have to wait because there was a change in unemployment. So this year, some changes that are happening is we still have that. We're still trying to figure out like, well, is unemployment going to change again for the 2021 tax return? Are we going to exclude part of the unemployment income? There's also the change of, if you recently heard, about the government shutdown, there was a potential government shutdown because of the debt. And so Biden has signed that we would extend until December 3rd. Well, we don't know if there is going to be a government shutdown. So if a government is going to shut down, it's going to affect the federal employees, it's going to affect the IRS. And the IRS is so behind on processing tax returns. Their taxpayers are waiting for their refunds from like 2019. We are about to prepare 2021 tax return. And so having the government shut down will affect everyone. And then there's also the advanced child tax credit. So that happened like in July, where, if you do qualify, you would get this monthly advanced child tax credit. So I'm already working on informing all my clients who do qualify that they need to track how much they receive every month, because we have that problem this past tax year was, did you track your stimulus payment? Without the amount that you received, it's going to delay the tax return. And so we had clients who were saying, no, I didn't receive it. Yes, I received it. I don't know how much we received. And so, when they gave us incorrect information, they would get this IRS letter. And so now I'm just letting everyone know, like, you need to track it, because without that information, there is, we're going to process your tax return. There might be a delay. You might get the IRS letter. So, and normally, with Congress, they propose tax law changes. So we heard about the Biden tax plan, and right now they're just proposed taxes. And so to be honest, I don't worry about it until it becomes law. Until Biden signs it and it becomes law, that's when I'm out there taking continuing education, then educating my clients. I do have clients reaching out to me, asking me questions about the proposed changes, but don't worry about it. Don't panic. Don't be too concerned until it becomes law.
So in the insurance world, I guess you guys feel like this in every industry, but I feel like there's always something on the horizon that we're like, oh my gosh, what's going to happen? So we kind of feel that way too, but I guess what's coming up most recently is something that's amazing that we're really excited about is no surprises. Has anybody ever received a surprise bill from a provider or hospital where you open it up and you're like, $25,000, or whatever, and you're like, what? And so a lot of the upcoming legislation is aimed at minimizing that or eliminating that. And so the big word is transparency. Cost transparency. What is everything going to cost? And it kind of relates back a little bit to the tools I was talking about earlier, like cost estimator tools and things that insurance companies are already doing so that you're not getting surprised by bills. But there's really three parts to the transparency that I wanted to talk about. And one is on the parts of insurance companies. So they have to, by January 1st, 2022, mandated, they'll need to make public detailed pricing. So detailed pricing of what services are easy to search. And I think what they're trying to do is use that tool that I was talking about. Like, okay, I need to get an MRI on my neck, and you can punch it in, and you can, in your area, it'll show like what each negotiated price is for different areas, so that you can be, if you're cost conscious, you can go to a lower cost place. Also hospitals, and hospitals don't want to do this. Hospitals don't like this, but hospitals have to make public their standard charges for services on their websites. They have to do that. And they also have to let you know what cash price they're willing to accept for services. So, which is kind of a big deal. And they're kind of digging in their heels about that, but that's coming down the pipeline. And then also us insurance agents, there's some transparency here with what we're getting as commissions. That needs to happen starting next year. So if we make anywhere over $1,000 on commission on a client, we need to let them know. We also need to let them know if we're part of any, incentivizing by insurers, like, you sell 5 clients of this product, you get a bonus, so bonus programs and stuff. So we need to notify our clients about that. So we're all for that. I think that's awesome. I think people should know what we're getting paid and what they're paying for and paying for agents. Just so you know, buying a health insurance plan from an agent versus buying it directly from an insurer does not cost you any more money. It's exactly the same cost. We're not an extra fee. We get paid by the insurance companies. And most of our commissions, spoiler alert, our commissions are between 2 and 8% depending on the product. And then the second year at renewal, it cuts in half. And so that's generally what our commissions look like. So so transparency is the name of the game in the insurance world. And I think it's a great thing. And I think it's good for consumers and everybody to understand what the actual costs of things are. And that also kind of tells you, back to my initial point of why is insurance so expensive? And so you kind of get to see why it's so expensive, what the actual cost of going in the emergency room is, or having a surgery done. So thanks.
There are various government mandates that affect my clients, but again, it's kind of more general, a little bit more macro view. One of the biggest topics that I find myself talking about a lot are the fluctuation in interest rates. I mean, we're talking about loans, we're talking about, purchases, and day to day, I mean, that might be a question I get every single day. So as that changes, I just have to track and follow that very closely. And then the other topic that's come up quite a bit is Biden's tax plan and just the implications of changing from a Republican to a Democrat and how that may change things down the pipeline. A lot of my clients are high net worth to ultra high net worth. So they are really looking to be strategic with these changes, head them off before they become an issue or before we're down to the wire. So it is hard when you really can't make any concrete decisions until things are made into law. We're constantly trying to be ahead of the ball instead of being reactionary. And I constantly have my finger on the pulse trying to do that for clients. One thing that I have found that's interesting in that world as well with ultra high net worth is the strength of the US passport and how that affects them doing business around the globe. We have had a lot of questions and action as well about looking into international passports and what that means. And I think that it's really changing. It's spreading people out around the globe, making permanent residency and citizenship available in different methods. That's a new topic for me that I had to look into this year specifically. And then lastly, the eviction and foreclosure memorandums that are happening. We have a lot of investors, so that, just the constantly changing timelines on those two issues are things that people are also very concerned about.
So on the payroll and HR front, we already talked about the ERTC. So that's going to be a topic that we're going to be talking about for the next couple of years, as you can amend your 941 reports for many, many years, and we'll be able to help our clients with that over here. Obviously, Paycheck Protection Program, PPP loans, Lily, you mentioned those also. Those were also big, and we helped our clients to put the reporting together. So I've helped many clients to walk through our reporting section to do those reports. So that's something that is ongoing. COVID sick pay that government paid for people that had to take off for COVID sick, that just ended 9/30. So that was not renewed as for now. So I had a client, we did a last minute payroll. She wanted to pay them on 10 for check date, but payroll goes by check date. So we did a last minute payroll for 9/30 so she can get that. It was about $2,000 of COVID sick pay she had wanted to pay out. So now she got that money because we ran the payroll for the third quarter. So those little details are very important to know when working with your payroll advisor. Minimum wage going up in California. Most of us, I don't know if all of us are in California, California minimum wage is going up. And what people don't understand is when minimum wage goes up, exempt employees, salary employees have to be paid more. So how exempt salary employees work is double the minimum income. That is the number one threshold for exempt employees. So now we have to start paying our salary employees more. So you have to really calculate those again. If you do not want to pay more, you might have to put some salaried employees that are now under the threshold into salary. That brings out a time clock. And so those kind of things. So I'm here to help with all those kind of questions. And then I still have to stress something that happened 3 years ago, AB 5, Assembly Bill 5, which changed what 1099 is versus to an employee. I know it's been a couple of years, but this is something that people still don't realize, that it's very hard nowadays to put someone as a 1099. You truly have to hire a business to business contract. You have to do business with business to put someone on 1099. So there's a lot of rules and regulations about that. So if you have any questions or about who can be 1099 independent contractor, who needs to be a W-2, I have a lot of information to share about that, and we can have a discussion. So that's an ongoing thing. People still call me and say, what is this law? And it was 3 years ago. So I just wanted to mention that I would be here to help you with those kind of questions. If it goes into a gray area, I have a couple of labor lawyers I work with very closely that will give you a free consultation too.
We'll wrap up with a couple other questions. What's one piece of advice you would give to the WSource network about managing a team or working with colleagues? And a fun one, what's one thing you adamantly dislike, but in the long run, it doesn't matter?
So advice on how to handling your employees. My goodness, I have a lot of advice on it. I can go on for 2 hours, but after talking to, for 16 years, I've been doing this, and I talk to a lot of employers, is really keeping an open door policy, not having this feel of that the owner of the company or the management or HR is like this. I can't go talk to them. Because when that starts happening, then things start going downhill. So keeping that open door policy, even though it's maybe said a lot, it actually means something. So having that open communication, not everything has to be a policy. You can just talk to your employees and so forth and keep it informal. The policies and those kind of things should come in when things starts really going downhill. It should be open conversation with your employees. Really having the paperwork though, having the employee handbooks and having the onboarding documents and tracking things, having a time clock, very important, because if something happens, it is not usually when EDD, Labor Board Industrial Relations, knocks on your door. That doesn't really happen. It's the employee calls EDD or one of these agencies and asks them questions, and it opens a door. So making sure that if that door is opened, you have every duck in a row. And that's what I'm really here to help with, truly with your teams and what you're doing and so forth. And then don't be afraid. Hannah said it earlier very beautifully. Have a team. Have a person for all these different things. I can be your payroll and HR consultant advisor ongoingly. So come to your department or hire an HR consultant. Have a labor lawyer on call. So have a team that's then when something does happen, you have someone to call. So I think that would be the team approach, Hannah. Good job on that. Is a wonderful plan always, because I don't know everything. Hannah doesn't know everything. Lily and Stephanie doesn't know every industry. So you don't want to have one person to answer it all, so that's really that. But open door policy, having paperwork ready, and company culture is big. The open door policy leads into that more of a better flow of the communication and so forth, and really, really keeping the employees happy. Employees leave the jobs, this is documented, because of the company environment more than money. So keeping that in mind when you start a business or you're running a business, what kind of environment do I have? What kind of do I want to? How can we enforce that environment? So that's just a little bit of that. My pet peeve is, now that Hannah mentioned something, I have to, again, sorry, Hannah, but you came up with such a good thing. When I send a new email to a client that says, hey, welcome to Heartland, here's all the things that I'm looking for to get from you to get started. I sent them 6 things I need. They send me 1 back and do not answer my questions. They really do not read the email. And this is people's pay, people. So it's hard sometimes. I'm like literally, and I'm very precise with my communication. I get to right down to the itty-bitty. I read my emails many times to make sure that there's no fluff, basically. I really ask the questions and ask the forms, and I get 1 form back and no questions answered. And it's like, now I have to do 3 more emails just because of it. So not fun.
A really good one, Jenny. I can see from all of our faces, we have all dealt with that situation multiple times. I really feel you on that one.
And I'm literally, it's so simple. Like I ask so simple questions, like yes, no, and then there's no answer, or there's like yes, or like whatever you said.
Yeah, you can agonize over how well you've organized your email to make it very simple for them to respond to the 5 or 6 things you need. And then you get it back and it's just 1 or clearly hasn't been read. It happens all the time. It's so funny.
It happens almost every day, every person I bring in. So, I've gotten used to it, but it's every time I'm like, really? Okay.
Like herding kittens. You're like, good.
It is like that.
Oh,
yes.
look.
Okay. So that was my answer. Thank you, Hannah. You gave me the idea for that. I say that. I'm like,
happy to help.
I
Happy to
know
help.
one.
So being a boutique firm, we are lean and mean. So I have a very small team. And what that means for me is really making sure that I'm being an authentic leader. I really do identify with what Jenny says, that it is so important to have the structure of your company in place, like a nice framework, like an employee handbook that you can reference. But then it becomes the day-to-day. And I want to be a human to my teammates. I want them to look at me as not just their manager, their boss, the CEO of the company, any titles. I want to be a friend. I want to be a human. I think that we spend most of our time at work these days. And oddly enough, even more so with quarantine and working, digitally and virtually, it's so easy to be connected all the time that I need to feel like I'm dealing with real humans and that I am a real human to my team. And I want them to come to me with jokes and stories and pictures and funny things, or their goals and aspirations, or if they have an issue, or if they really didn't understand something, ask me 10 times. I do not mind. I'm never going to make you feel silly or stupid or less than. We all just are trying to make it through. And I think that's been one of my, guiding principles in building this firm is, yes, we are professional. Yes, we have a level, standard of operation. But more than that, we are a team. We need to be here together as human beings. And I really liked what Jenny said about the open door policy. I think that goes hand in hand with being an authentic leader and showing your humanity. You need people to know that you're approachable. And that goes back to the asking a question 10 times. Sometimes I don't understand things. Sometimes I need more of an explanation. And I never want to feel afraid or unworthy of getting the answer that I need to do my job better. So I would always want a leader that always made me feel confident and safe enough to go to them with whatever I needed. And then on top of that, I also want to encourage the personal growth of my teammates. I think that I'm not going to fool myself and think that the employees I have now are going to be my employees in 30 years. Everybody needs to evolve and go on, a journey of growth. So how can I help you? What does that look like for you? what are your goals in the next year, even 6 months, and how can we help you get there? And what does that look like? And what's my role in getting you there? So it's really having those conversations and making them feel like they're important outside of just what they do for my company. That's been something that I really loved connecting with my team about, and also colored in the details of their lives and who they were. So authenticity and really the connection and the communication. Those are my 3 big ones. My pet peeve, again, it's the same vein of emailing a question. My biggest pet peeve, because I just find it so consistent, is when you email or ask somebody an either or question and they answer you with yes or no. And then you have to send a whole new round of emails clarifying and asking again, and it just sets off this domino effect. But every time it happens, I'm like, oh no. Definitely a pet peeve. Please just either or. That's what I asked you.
Working with the team, you guys, I love your points that you've made already about being an authentic leader and laying the groundwork, making everything clear, open door policy. 100%. One thing that I'm going to narrow in on is that someone told me a few years ago, and it's really stuck with me, is not venting to your team, you get off the phone with somebody who was just rude or didn't care, and you just want to slam the phone down and be like, can you believe, so this person, I'm on their side, I'm trying to help them, and they, and it just gets this negative dynamic going in your office, and people kind of are like, yeah, let's start a Facebook group against these people, even though you could have like everybody on your side that they were wrong and you were right and whatever. I'm just going to say, don't do it. And you think venting, oh, I'm getting it off my chest, it's actually a good thing, but it's really actually not. I mean, studies show that venting actually drills in further your belief about whatever it was that was negative about someone who has wronged you or whatever. It just kind of solidifies you more stuck, and it kind of divides us more and separates us more. And it just kind of like changes the culture a little bit, or even in the moment for like the next hour, another phone call comes in and that person wasn't so nice either, and so I don't know, I guess I would say, no venting and no kind of bringing down the morale, kind of keep it positive. And even though you want to, I'm still working on it too. When you have a tough call, just kind of taking a moment and letting it digest, but not just verbal diarrhea to everybody about what was going on and sharing that negativity around, So, and then down to my dislikes, working with slow internet. I don't know if you guys have had to do this recently, but I had to work in the middle of nowhere, Oregon, because we were helping for a family emergency, and it was like dial up, like scroll. I mean, it was like a test in patience. Like, it drives me crazy. Being late, I hate being late. It like makes my skin crawl. Everyone, like the pedestrian across the street is like, drop something, and I'm like, oh my God, so being late. And then peace. I really don't like peace. I'll leave it at that.
When I worked at a CPA firm, so my former boss, this is like 10 years ago. And what I really enjoy about working with him is that I felt he was a part of my family. He had the open door policy. He told me, like, ask him any questions I wanted. He was my mentor. He's the one who encouraged me to become an enrolled agent. I remember when I told him, I go, boss, I don't know if taxes is for me. I really like accounting, but I'm not sure about taxes. And so he really encouraged me. He kind of like helped me, like study for the exam. And, he's like, just ask me any questions you want. He'll train me. I got to know his family. I met his wife, his kids. He met my son and my husband. And so I really enjoyed, like, even till this day, I still talk to him. It's like I visit him, I invite him to conferences, I call him once in a while just to see how he's doing, because we built that relationship. Like, I can call him anytime if I have questions. And so since leaving, like when I quit and I started my own practice, which I had no idea I would even start my own practice, but here I am 5 years later, running my business and having my team I just kind of create that same environment, that same family where, I meet with my team like twice a month. We have lunch, staff lunch. I have that policy like we're virtual, but one of my closest team member, she lives in Kent where I live too. And so it's so easy to just meet with her. We meet through Zoom twice a month. We have lunch together. I train her through Zoom. I tell her like, just email me anytime. We communicate through Slack. We have a CRM, so it's very easy to like communicate about clients. One thing I had to learn when I started my practice is delegate. So instead of wearing multiple hats, I delegated to different team members. Now she's helping me take phone consultation. She's helping with bookkeeping. I'm training her, and she wants to become an enrolled agent. So for me, it's like, okay, well, my boss helped me to get where I am, and he helped me, even provided me clients. And so for her, it's like, let me help you, let me mentor you, let me train you, let me teach you, like whether it's bookkeeping or preparing tax returns, I will help you get where you need to go. And so just having the family, like valuing family is very important to me. So I just treat my team as family. And I'm checking on them. I'm like, oh, are you okay? How are things going? I have a contractor in North Carolina. And so when the hurricane happened, I'm like, are you okay? Do you need anything? Just having that connection, just being open, just getting to know each other on a personal level as well as a professional level. I think just like Jenny said, the open door policy, you can contact me anytime if you need anything, I'm here. And then pet peeve, when Hannah started talking about her pet peeve, it just made me laugh because, in the tax world, that happens a lot. It's like, oh, do you want to do married filing jointly or married filing separately? Yeah, that sounds great. Which one? And so it's not really a pet peeve. I think it's very funny when, no one reads my question, they just respond. And so having to word it differently. I think it's just people get overwhelmed by their work, and they're just trying to type fast or something like that. But I think that's not really a pet peeve for me. I think more is when I'm preparing a tax return and all the documents are in the portal, I'm ready to go, and then I'm looking at their document, I'm like, I can't see your document because you took a picture and it's either blurry or it's cut off. And so I have to call them or ask them hey, can you send me another document where I can actually read it? Or they scan their documents and then it's the even pages. And I'm like, what happened to the other side of the page of your document? So stuff like that is where I'm having to asking them for their documents again, or I can't open it, or I can't read their documents, or I can't. Or I remember one time when it was they had a W-2 and they couldn't find their W-2, and so instead of scanning in their W-2, they wrote out their W-2. So it's here, this is how much I got paid. I'm like, no, I actually need the actual form for you to send it to me. So it's just I don't know if it's really a pet peeve. I think it's just funny when I see that happening, and so having to just sending emails to clients and say, yeah, scan it again, try it again.